Jay Crawford, Adam the Bull, Garrett Bush, Tyvis Powell, Jason Lloyd. Plus, ba-da-da-da-da, you're loving him, Mikey McNuggets. And so many big names, it would take me hours to say all of their names. The ultimate Cleveland sports show starts now. Booyah!
Hey, it's Friday and Tyvis is here.
Hey,
What, man? That's crazy.
I had
bro.
to fill in, man. My boy Bull needed a day off, so I said, a day with J and G? Absolutely. I haven't seen you in a while. I seen G a couple of weeks ago.
I just saw you this week.
But I even did a show with you.
Did you talk about the episode that?
You and I?
Yeah.
No.
On the show? So I'm getting to work. I don't know what day it was.
Why was you here so early?
I was coming back from a shoot. I was at Progressive Field.
Okay.
Earlier in the morning. And when I'm pulling in, I see Tyvis getting out of Tesla.
Yeah.
A six-figure Tesla. And I'm like,
price.
bro,
You need to cut that out.
I said, bro,
Cut that out.
did you make a hole-in-one? Because I've seen your golf swing.
I told him that.
Where'd you get that Tesla? He said, you tell the story.
I said, you know what? I borrowed it from my boy Cardell. Was like, you know what? He was like, you want to use my Tesla for the day? I said, yeah. He said, I understand gas is expensive. You can use the Tesla. Cardell got 2 cars. Like, yeah, you can use the Tesla. So I was like, best. So I go pick the Tesla up, whole drive. I put it in autopilot G, and you got to hold the steering wheel. So the whole time.
You do have to hold it even when it's in autopilot?
Yeah, you got to hold it.
What's the point?
Well, because you got to let the car know you're still there. Like it don't
Where
want
you gonna go?
It don't want you to just let the wheel go. You can't. No. Jesus can't take the wheel on this. So I'm holding the steering wheel, but the whole time I'm like texting and looking at my phone, literally the entire drive. So I was like, man, this is pretty cool because the car switched lanes and somebody like drive up behind you real fast. It moves out the way, gets over in the next lane and stuff.
Yeah, I'm not that trusting.
Listen, G, you just let it go, man. Just
I'm not that trusting. G, would you do it?
Well, actually, to be truthful, my car got this self-drive, but I don't be putting it on like
Mine
that.
has it too.
wrong with y'all?
And I do
Why
have it
pay
on.
this money if you're not gonna use it?
Nah, fam.
I don't trust it.
Nah.
What? So let me tell you why I trusted it. So I first drove a Tesla for the first time when I was in San Francisco. I was driving for this player by the name of Richard Sherman, and he was telling me, I was like, hey, how does the autopilot work? He was like, oh, I do it all the time. He said, I be in traffic. I just read books and stuff. I said, you trust letting the wheel go? He said, yeah. He said, go ahead and do it right now.
I have links I can send you of Tesla autopilot gone wrong, passenger dead.
But let me tell you why I did it this day. Because I thought to myself, he said, do it. Put it on, and he said, make sure you hold the wheel, but go ahead and do it. I said, well, this ain't my car. So if he told you to do it. If it tear up, this on him. So I did it. And it was weird because I didn't want to let the wheel go, but it was like, it really did it.
I think it's the younger generation that's more apt to be trusting of the technology.
I try to minimize the way that I'm going to die. I try to minimize that.
That's a good idea.
I try to be like, all right, so like, should I go out after like 10? Probably not.
They say that you're supposed to get comfortable with being uncomfortable, and when you go off that ledge, that's when you truly live life.
I'll give you an example of getting comfortable being uncomfortable. I also wouldn't play golf in a lightning storm. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't want to get comfortable doing that.
Well, first of all, nobody would play golf.
Oh, no, it happens regularly, daily.
Hey, listen.
People get struck by lightning on golf courses more than you think.
I've said this before, but listen, we went to a place over there with Steve and them, and I've already said, listen, I'm not going to be in no vegetative state around y'all. That's not going to happen because y'all will laugh. Tyvis will go crazy. He will laugh at me and
He'll
be like,
make fun of us.
He'll be like, I'm not gonna be in no bed, and my wife and family is making up these. See, G is still here. Jay, don't be patronizing me, and I'm just sitting there. How you doing, buddy? How you doing, bud?
Can you hear me? Blink if you can hear me.
And I'm over like, get your hands off of me, dog.
I'm gonna be in the bed.
I'm over there like this, just sitting there. No, I'm not. And you did it all for what? Did you do it playing football? Did you do it saving a life? No, you did it because your Tesla went out.
Autopilot.
Autopilot. I'm going to update the fans. Yeah, just went to go see G. He good, y'all. He's still going.
Nah, listen. And then,
You're wrong.
And then Earl going to put at the bottom, G is on autopilot himself. You dirty dogs. I hate you.
She's been on autopilot.
That's when you just don't take it off autopilot.
Right. I told him, you get me out of here. I'm signing the paperwork to get me off autopilot.
Yeah, I don't want to be resuscitated.
It's not going crazy. You got your hand on the wheel. I mean, at the last minute, you could just, turn the wheel.
That's crazy. I'm cool. I'm cool. I'm going to just... Yeah,
All right. Well, it's good to have you in on a Friday.
Yeah.
We do 90 minutes on Friday here on YouTube. Then we go 30 minutes on WKYC. So you can follow us over there. If you're not in the Cleveland area and you still want to watch that 30 minutes, because as McNuggets likes to promote, this is never before seen Browns coverage and content that we have in that 30-minute show.
And Cavs and Guardians.
And Guardian, right. We got the whole shooting match today. So if you've got FOMO and you just can't imagine what we might be talking about that you're not hearing, you can download the WKYC Plus app, and you can watch us on Channel 3 anywhere in the world.
There it is.
There it is. Busy show, Cavs, Browns, Guardians. Guardians had the night off last night. NBA Finals is about a wrap. Maybe the Cavs are closer than we thought. If Boston wins Game 4, and I expect them to,
You're going to say
then,
the Cavs was better than the Mavericks.
Well, they only lost 2 games in the playoffs, and one of them were to the Cavs. And they played the whole series without Jared Allen and no last game with Donovan Mitchell. We'll get to all that. McNuggets, what's up over there?
We also got Mike Chernoff on the show.
Mike Chernoff is coming on, our Guardians GM. Yeah. I'm going to ask him about Tugboat. Is that okay?
Absolutely.
I mean, there's probably a lot more pressing things. I've got 8 things written down that I'd like to talk to him about.
I am curious, do you draft a guy, if he has a killer nickname, right, like Tugboat, which is an all-time potential nickname if he turns into being an MLB pitcher. He's been awesome in the minor leagues. And you know he's Tugboat. And let's say you're picking in the 4th or 5th round. I don't know when he was drafted, but let's just say he's not a top pick, obviously.
No, he's not.
But in the 4th or 5th round, if you're comparing 3 or 4 prospects and one has a dynamic nickname,
if all
like
things
Tugboat,
are equal, yes.
and John Smith is the other guy,
oh my God.
Does the nickname play any factor
yes,
whatsoever?
It should.
I'm curious to hear
human
what Mike Chernoff
nature.
says.
Yes. he probably, and here's the thing, like he'll say, well, he was the guy that we wanted to draft in that spot, but I like your scenario. If all things are equal, and you've got 3 players and they're just all awash, and you can't figure out one over the other, and one of them is named Tugboat.
You know, this is wild.
Yeah, I would do it. There's
this kid named Cody Williams in the 3rd grade, and he was before his time. Cody Williams used to call our teacher Miss Tugboat.
What was her name?
Miss Marable.
How did it become Tugboat? Short and squatty?
It was, I don't know how he got away with it, but like everybody started doing it, and it got bad. And I'm like, was that bullying before bullying?
Could have been. Reverse bullying. That's like a child bullying an adult.
And I'm like, how did you come up with that? And then he used to call this lunchroom lady 3 buffaloes. I said, how? What? And it was crazy. Like,
what's his name?
Cody Williams.
Cody, where you at?
Where you at, Cody? He was
we
wild.
We need to bring him on the show and give everybody nicknames.
He called the one lady
3 buffaloes.
3 buffaloes.
Was she huge?
I would have lost it. I ain't gonna lie.
And he used to do the Indian chant and everything.
And he got away with it.
Oh, bro, he was like, I think the teacher was like distraught, like, because all the other kids kept saying it every time we went through the lunch line. Hey, Miss 3 buffaloes. I'm like, this crazy. I
would have lost it.
I did. Hey, listen, I apologize to all lunchroom ladies, all teachers. Like, shout out to the teachers out there that deal with idiots like little kids.
Yeah, they had to deal with a whole lot. All right, McNuggets, what's coming up?
Let's dive into things. And a quick reminder as we start every show that the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is sponsored by FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Summertime means baseball, the NBA Finals, and more. And you can bet on it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the ballpark tonight. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. And as always, if you have a winning ticket, make sure you guys send it in to us so we can feature it on the show. Jay, as I was scrolling through my TV yesterday, I was turned on NFL Live on ESPN for a little bit,
Fine
and
program.
I saw on the ticker they were talking about Deshaun Watson and him completing minicamp and how his arm looked, but they mentioned their ESPN analytics predictor for each division in football. And these numbers kind of baffled me. We have talked time and time before about how we think the AFC North is the best division in football and how any team could win, any team could finish in any place. But if you look at these analytic projections from ESPN, that doesn't appear to be the case. They gave Baltimore a 46.4% chance to win the AFC North, Cincinnati a 36.5%, the Browns just a 9.1% chance to win the North, and the Steelers an 8.1% chance to win the North. That seemed very off to me. What say you?
If I was handicapping, I'd probably do it in that order. I probably would have Baltimore as a favorite to win the division. They'd be a slight favorite, though. They wouldn't be a 10-point favorite, and they sure as heck wouldn't be a almost 50-50 shot at winning the division. The one thing I can tell you that ESPN Analytics relies heavily upon is past results. Now, you say, well, of course they do. That's how you make predictions, past results. But you also have to project. You have to look at roster changes, losses, additions, all of that. But the one thing that I always used to question about the analytics department is, what is your formula? How are you building in the fact that Joe Burrow missed the season? Mm-hmm. How are you factoring in the fact that Cleveland used 5 starting quarterbacks? What if last year Lamar Jackson was the only quarterback that was healthy in the division? Mm-hmm. Stands to reason they won. Mm-hmm. That's the way the NFL works. How in the hell are you going to tell me that he's going to do that again? The odds of him doing it a second year in a row, especially a player who's been prone to injury, is diminished. It's way less. So I don't think that I would have them as a 46. I think what I would have done, I would have put Baltimore at a 32%. I would have put Cincinnati at about a 30%. That leaves you 38%. I would have put Cleveland at about 25 and Pittsburgh at 13. That's how I would have split it up. Mm-hmm. That is disrespectful. And look, I hope that gets blown up as a meme and put on the walls of the Browns locker room over in Berea, because that is fuel for motivation if I've ever seen it. I just don't get that.
I think that when you look at that right there, it tells me that ESPN is basically on the. When was the last time the Browns won the division?
Not since '89.
That's where and I think that's where.
Okay, so you know what that tells me? They're more likely to. It's got to end sometime.
I would think so too, but they looking at it like, well, it hasn't happened. They've had this roster, and I just think that a lot of people aren't high on Deshaun and Jerry Jeudy and some of the moves that the Browns have made this offseason. We look at it like it's clear upgrades. You know, Deshaun's coming back healthy. Nick Chubb's going to come back at some point. You get Jerry Jeudy, who's actually done a couple of things in this league. You get a new offensive coordinator, new play caller. You would think that everything would just work itself out. Now, don't get me wrong. It's going to take a while for the offense. It's not like offenses just come in the first day and boom, everything is just clicking. It takes some time to go in some games, learn some things that you can and cannot do, and it gels together. I applaud Baltimore for what they did last year because Ty Monken, it was his first year as the OC there last year, and I thought for sure that offense would struggle. And obviously they went on to win the division and do some things in the playoffs. I hope we get that same success with Ken Dorsey as the play caller. But when I look at Baltimore being number one, it's hard for me. I know they get Mark Andrews back. I know they got Zay Flowers. And I know they got Derrick Henry. But if you're making Lamar become more of a passer, I feel like you need another receiver, especially on the outside. Mm-hmm. You know, Odell was supposed to be that, and
Why does he have to become more of a passer?
Well,
he ran the ball very effectively last year.
Well, I think because if I remember correctly, he's slimming down this year.
He looked thinner at their minicamp.
Like every year he's lost like 10 to 15 pounds, and this year I want to say I've seen something where he's like 205. And I don't know why he's doing that.
I saw him buying designer Prada and Chanel with Gunner. Like, I think, like, he was like...
He's back in skinny jeans.
Yeah, he definitely small.
But I don't understand why, though. Because if you think about their offense with Derrick Henry, it's going to be a lot of run and a lot of him pulling it and taking off. So he's going to get hit more.
Well, perhaps, but it also makes him faster and maybe more elusive.
I hear that, but
when you gain
come
weight,
on now.
you slow down.
Come on now.
And when you lose weight,
I understand he wants to be as fast as possible, but I also understand that when you lose weight, them hits them hits add up quicker.
I agree, and for all of that is why I just don't see him making it through 17 unscathed. I don't. I don't see
who they back up now? Because we got Huntley.
I don't know who they signed.
I don't know who they got.
I'm not sure.
Give me 1 sec.
Dang.
I don't know who
Nuggets
they
is
got.
on
And then with the Bengals, I feel like they got so many people that's disgruntled over there, disgruntled. Like I don't
Look, man, that's gonna be.
It's either gonna be first
Josh
of all,
Johnson is their backup. Oh my goodness.
he's still going, huh? He
Man.
like LeBron. He like in year 20. I think with the Cincinnati team, they're going for it all because this is the last year this whole team's gonna be together.
They've got issues after
exactly.
this year.
So it's either all gonna work out or it's all gonna blow up in their face. Like
Right.
one of the two is gonna happen.
You know,
They either gonna end up first or they gonna end up last. That's
Joe
the way I
Burrow
look
said
at
as
it.
long as he's there, the window's open.
You know what?
well, we gonna find out.
That might be true because Joe, you know I respect you, Slim Shady, baby. You my dog, 1,000%. You're like Tom Brady to me. You could go. It don't matter who you going up against. If you out there, y'all got a chance to win that game.
But the pieces are nice.
The pieces around them, if they ain't happy, listen.
That's if he's out there. He about 2
He is becoming a injury prone quarterback.
I mean, I'll be looking at my quarterback. They be like, "Oh goodness, he's injury prone." I'm like, "Well, listen, have you seen Joe Burrow lately?" For me, man, I look at it like this, man. I'm glad. I'm changing my tune on this. I'm glad they hating on the Browns. I really am. I'm ecstatic. You know why? Because I need y'all to internalize this. Like, I need y'all to understand, like, they don't think y'all no good. They don't really like your jerseys. They don't really like your quarterback. They think you know, they don't like the, you know, they don't really.
They think last year was an anomaly.
Everything is a fluke. Like, and I'm just waiting on it because I need y'all to start actually getting mad about some of this stuff. I need y'all to play in a way where I need the Browns to start doing like some of these other teams. Like, you know, when they be up, instead of running the ball, they be throwing a rock. I need them to be putting the gravy on. Yeah, give me some more gravy like at the buffet. Give me some more of that turkey gravy on everything. These guys need to, at one point in time, be upset about this and say, look, we got to play with a level of disrespect towards these other squads and other teams.
Gee, they did that last year.
No.
Yes,
that
they
wasn't
did.
enough.
They did.
That wasn't it.
D'Anthony Bell came right here, sat in his chair, and said that the same thing. Why is it that everybody's against us? But you know what? We use it as motivation.
Well, they didn't use
and
it.
that's the thing. I told you, the biggest change from last year was the attitude of the whole team. Like, they, instead of being just the regular Cleveland Browns, they felt disrespected and they took that attitude. They took the fight to other people.
Did you see the last game of the year?
I ain't talking outside of that.
he missed that.
Why you bringing up the past?
Because why you bring up this valid point like this? Who says that?
Listen, that was, you know what?
No.
That was problematic.
That was very problematic.
It was some injuries in that game. Some guys was dinged up, banged up.
That's why, like, I need.
Texans had some injuries too.
I need.
They had the number one person they needed who was coming back from injury.
I need cocky Deshaun Watson.
I do too.
I need to.
I do too.
I agree with you. I think all
glad.
of these little disrespects.
I'm glad.
Like one of them on their own. Okay. So you think the Browns have the 23rd best roster? Okay, that's dismissive and that's offensive, but whatever. But as all of these pieces of evidence against your winning the division start to pile up, hell yeah, they're going to use that for motivation. And I think last year what motivated them was they were playing with house money all season.
Yeah.
Well, here's quarterback number 2. Here's quarterback number 3. Who's number 4?
Turned into
number
a nice
5
story.
comes through the door.
Nice story.
And they all were like, hey, we're supposed to lose, guys, so let's let it all hang out. I agree with G. I think this year is all about redemption. This is the redemptive tour. Kick dirt on our graves, you know, and hopefully Deshaun Watson is reading all the disrespect. I know he sees everything.
I want his team,
because it's all over out there.
I want his team to be writing it down. I want him to make a nice little bulletin board right in his little office. I need his quarterback coach, his PR people to be like, listen, they think you're absolute. They have Caleb Williams, who's a rookie who's never played a game, rated higher than you.
They should do.
How crazy is that?
You know what? I got an idea. Get all the disrespects, all the quotes, all the Browns offense is ranked 9th in the AFC. They're ranked 23rd roster-wise in the NFL. Put all of these quotes on wallpaper and wallpaper the locker room with them. You got to see him every day.
He just got to do the G. Bush. Just keep favoring, just keep liking and favoriting tweets, and then after the season, do the Anthony Edwards with commercials.
Well, you hope you can.
I got the receipts right here.
Well, Anthony Edwards, if he get to the AFC Championship game, he could like tweet whatever he want, retweet. He get to the Super Bowl, I don't care. He could be calling folks out. Listen, he get to the Super Bowl.
You gonna be right with him?
Yes. Send me them tweets. I'm telling you right now. I'm just letting you know. If you are following me on Twitter, if he throws for 4,500 yards, you might as well unfollow me. I'm telling you that right now, because I'm on everybody's necks. Listen, and don't you hit me with the.
Oh my goodness.
The media be doing this too. I hate when they do this. Nobody could have ever saw the meteoric rise of the Cleveland Browns and Deshaun Watson. I mean, what a story. Who could have saw it? Shut up. You had 9%. 9%. Do you know, like when you have enough surgeries, Tyvus, when you go in the knife, they'd be like, listen, sign this paperwork. They'd be like, you got insurance? Oh, by the way, there's a 9% chance you don't wake up from this. Like, do you still have the surgery? Yes, because 9% ain't that high. It's like, I'm going to take my chances with the 9. They gave you 9 to win, and the Steelers is right at 8. Come on, disrespect. Come on now. I got to take that.
We finished second last year, right, in the division?
You know what? There's two theories, though. There's the Nick Chubb way, too. Nick Chubb never gets disrespected, although there is a little disrespect of Nick right now.
What's the disrespect?
Well, they're guessing
he
might not be out there. He might not be available till the middle of the season. I don't know where that narrative started. In my mind, Nick Chubb will be in uniform, helmet on, ready to run first week.
Dallas.
Why not? He's Nick Chubb.
Hey.
What has he done that's ever made any of us think that he's lazy or he's not working hard to come back from the injury?
Whoever said? I don't think nobody ever thought that.
I watched somebody last week say it probably will be before around mid-season before he's anywhere close to where he was in the past.
I got him
What?
at least. I got him at week 2, 3. That's about where I'm at.
I just think, and I don't have any intel. I don't know. No, they're being real tight-lipped about it. I think that's curious.
We're going to find out when the 53 come out, because if he on the PUP list, he can't come
Well,
back
that's a terrible sign.
Yeah.
That's a terrible sign if he is. But in my mind, Nick Chubb gets the benefit of all doubt always until I see otherwise. And so for me, I'm not disrespecting Nick Chubb, but what I like about Nick is Nick lives in a silo.
Can't get to him.
He doesn't take bullets because they know he's not going to hear about them, and they certainly know he's not going to respond to them. What amazes me is the athletes that snipe back time and time and time again. It literally is an invitation to the trolls to take shots at him because they're going to be famous for 15 seconds because his name is going to be in Deshaun Watson's mouth. Like, forget your detractors. If you want to be motivated by it internally, that's great. But when you start shouting out on Twitter, I'll show you, and then you have a terrible season, then the onslaught becomes an avalanche and it can bury you.
People are just motivated differently.
They are.
It's just different things, different mechanisms that people use. I think LeBron even was one that came out and said, I went out to warm-ups and I was looking for something, anything to get me motivated for this game.
Well, look at
MJ
Michael Jordan.
Michael Jordan has famously made up beats
made up
people.
stuff.
Yeah, made up stuff.
Yeah, so.
Hey, Gia, I wanted to ask you this real quick. Steve, take the graphic again. Jay gave us his order of the percentage he thinks each team should be at, and clearly he disagreed with the Browns being at 9.1%. How would you divvy this up, G? Tyvus, you after G, but G first. How would you divvy this up in terms of percentage chance to win the AFC?
He was right. I got the Baltimore Ravens. Like, if I'm going to give them roughly, I'll give them about a 32% chance.
That's exactly where I had them.
And then the Bengals, I got them like at maybe like 28.
I had them at 30. I had them a little higher.
28. And then you got the Browns, if I put them at 20.
Yep, that's where I have them.
And then,
about right.
and the Pittsburgh, what's left over from that? You did the math.
16.
About 16.
That's about right.
Tyvus, you right in line?
Yeah, that's about right.
I just don't understand how they've got Cleveland 25 percentage points below Cincinnati, who's the 2 pick.
That's wild.
Like
it's
almost like sometimes numbers.
It's all quarterback play. That's got to be the only thing.
It is. Yeah, I think that
they looked at the quarterbacks.
It's heavily
and went
weighted
with
on
that.
quarterback play, but it's also based on the most recent sample size. Okay, so that's the way it finished up last year.
The Ravens.
How often does an NFL division come back the next year exactly the same way?
Slim.
Very rarely.
But the Ravens, have they even addressed the pass rush situation? Because they lost Clowney, right? And didn't they? And then they lost Stone, and then they lost
all the
Queen.
linemen.
Yeah, they have.
They lost some offensive
but
linemen.
I think
didn't
everybody's
they?
looking at the defense or the offense, and they're blinded by it.
I think
You've got the MVP.
Didn't the coordinator
You added
leave,
Derrick
too?
Henry, who some believe is still a top 3 back. Some think he's still the best back.
And the D coordinator left. Did he go to Seattle?
Yeah, he did. But Tyvis, when you look at their embarrassment of riches on offense, I think everybody is kind of saying, catch them if you can. You're going to have to score 35 to play with these guys.
How?
Well, look at their offense. Their offense is ridiculous. Andrews is healthy. The MVP is back at quarterback. They've got Derrick Henry at running back. They've got Zay Flowers is one of the best young wide receivers in the game.
He's good, but that's all right now.
So
now
what
what about the outside receivers? Because you got
Rashad Bateman and Nelson Aguilar are their 2 and 3 receivers.
I'm not going to kick dirt on those guys.
I am.
It's an embarrassment of riches in the other positions.
I will.
For sure I am.
What were their numbers last year?
Let me see.
Bateman.
Aguilar had a decent season.
Bateman had 32 catches, 367 yards, and one touchdown.
Was he hurt?
I'm trying to see how many games he
If he is, then that's his MO, because they all receivers is always hurt.
They do get dinged now.
Yeah, he missed 6 games last year, so he was a little dinged up.
Still should have had more.
Aguilar had 35 catches, 381 yards.
Yeah, you're right. That's trash. I stand corrected. That's a garbage.
He had those 2 big catches late in the fourth quarter.
Yeah, that's what I remember. That's what I remember. I'm like, wow, Aguilar is out here catching babies again. Do you guys remember that video? I made that reference.
That was one of
It's one of my favorite viral videos of all time. There was a house fire in Philadelphia on the day there was a playoff game for the Eagles, and Aguilar dropped 2 balls. One was in the end zone. They were wide open. And there was a bystander, a pedestrian, on the street, and while the fire was going on, and somebody had a baby, and they said, no choice. The building's burning. I got to throw out the baby. And the guy caught it. And then when a news crew was doing an interview with him, he just drops in seamlessly. Oh, I had to do what I had to do. I'm not out here like Aguilar. I'm out here catching things. It was one of the funniest viral videos I've ever seen in my life.
That's why.
You've never seen that, Ty? I don't know if we can find it. It is worth playing it.
So, real quick for everybody out there.
It is awesome.
No, it is awesome. Twitter's down.
Oh,
so it's going to be
great.
tough. Like, Twitter's down.
Like the whole...
Canva's down. Tagboard's down.
Yeah, well.
VMix is working, so we're just going to go, but...
I suppose you can call it up on your phone and
highly recommend just search Nelson Aguilar Fire. It'll come up. It is an all-time
call it up,
video.
Ty, and then you can play it on your phone and put the speaker by your microphone so our audience can enjoy it. Tyvis, it's really it will become one of your all-time favorite videos.
Well, while Tyvis is doing that, Jay, let me do a read because we have our guest
like...
ready. So we're going to bring in our guest.
Great.
We're thrilled to be joined by Mike Chernoff in a sec. But a quick reminder that today's episode of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show is brought to you by eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the formula for winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some huge wins. So keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available for U.S. customers. And with that, we're thrilled to welcome Mike Chernoff, the general manager of the Cleveland Guardians, to the show. How you doing, Mike?
I'm great. How are you guys doing today?
Good, Mike. Good to see you. Steve, is there some feedback? Does he have to turn down his computer speaker, maybe?
He's doing it as we speak. He listens.
Of course, he's got to be able to hear.
Okay.
If he doesn't have an earpiece, that might be tough. Mike, is this working for you? Can you hear us?
Yeah, can you hear me okay? Is that all right?
Yeah, that's perfect. That's great. Mike, a lot to get to. First of all, thanks for coming on. We appreciate you coming on because Guardians fans right now, I don't know if I'm sure you do feel it. I certainly feel it. There is a renewed passion in this city for Guardians baseball. You can see it in the attendance. It's probably reflective because of the way they're playing on the field. But I know this is a broad question, but what is your definition or your explanation for how this team has done what they've done to this point? They're winning 2 out of 3 games.
Yeah, that's a big question. First off, it's been really exciting. I mean, the summer of baseball we've had so far has been great. We're something like 20 games over 500. And there's just a high energy, great dynamic in the clubhouse and on the field. I think what you're seeing is it's really, we're clicking on a lot of different cylinders right now. I think we're in the top 3 in the league in runs scored per game, top 3 in the league in runs allowed per game. That means a lot of things are going right. You have some stars like Josh Naylor and Jose Ramirez doing well. You have some kind of unproven guys that are really stepping up, like David Fry and some of the young guys in our bullpen. So it's really all over the field where this is happening, but it certainly has been a fun and exciting start to the season.
Mike, I look at the difference between last year and, traditionally, a few years back prior to that. And it just seems like you guys have a new approach. Power numbers are up at the plate. What went into your approach this offseason and then trying to get more power in the lineup and hitting more home runs? How has that been effective? And is that an organizational type thing that you guys really concentrated on in the offseason?
That's a great question. Really a noticeable difference from last year. I think what we saw really the past 2 years, we sort of embraced a contact-oriented approach over the past couple of years. And I think that was not necessarily an intentional thing. It was more around the personnel that we had and the stage of career that these guys were in. You had a young player like Kwan come up who really was contact-oriented throughout the minor leagues. That's the type of player he was in the major leagues in his first year. This year, we made a much more concerted effort. We still want to have a high contact, right? You're looking for contact and power, so still have a high contact approach, but a much more concerted effort with our hitting coaches and top to bottom organizationally to maybe get into a little bit more impact quality. And it's really paid off. That approach has started in the offseason with a lot of conversations that our new manager, Stephen Vogt, had with our hitting guys and with our team. And you're seeing it translate onto the field with much better home run numbers from guys like Jose and Josh Naylor, who have always had that in them, but also with a little bit more impact quality from some of the other players on our team, whether it's Kwan hitting doubles and triples or David Fry tapping into a little bit more of his power, that kind of thing.
Mike, when you look at Stephen Vogt, when you look at him versus Terry Francona, what's the biggest difference that you see in their styles? And what was it about Stephen Vogt that y'all like to say, this is going to be the new manager for this team?
Yeah, I mean, you're asking me to draw the differences was amazing. We had 11 years of a Hall of Fame caliber manager, the best in the business, and that's a hard thing for somebody to follow, especially a new manager who had never done the job before, even in a minor league capacity. Steven stepped in and from day one embraced the legacy and sort of the culture that Tito had helped build here. And he built on that. He's brought his own style to it. We work a little bit differently than we did in our pregame work. That's something that was important to him. But really, a lot of things are similar. He loves the hard 90. When you have a guy like Jose Ramirez in the fourth at bat of a 12-1 game, running out and beating out an infield single, it's hard for that not to rub off. He's embraced that and really reinforced that with guys. And he has helped to sort of reinforce a lot of the style of play that we saw in our grittiest of years with Tito. And he's been just tremendous as a leader in the clubhouse.
Hey, Mike, when you take a look at what's going on with the club, you've got two things that fans are looking at. First of all, and you can tell us, we won't tell anyone, who are you going to take with the number 1 pick in the draft? Just between us. And also, I know
my mic's still not working. Is that?
I know you've got some time, but you've got to be buyers at the deadline, right?
Yeah, I'm definitely not going to tell you who we're taking to the draft or who we're going to take on the deadline. I'm definitely not telling you that. But we got two, big, exciting things for our franchise coming up. The draft. Look, we haven't had a first pick, I don't think, in franchise history. We thankfully, with the new lottery system, you don't have to finish in last place, and you still have a chance of getting the first pick. We really lucked out. It's a huge opportunity for us. We're scouting, College World Series coming up. We've been scouting the regionals, super regionals, every high school game. Our guys are doing a great job in the field to put the pieces together on who we're going to draft. So we're excited about that. About 2 weeks after that, we have the trade deadline, which, look, when you're 20 games over 500, you're looking to find ways to complement your team. I think what we've seen in past years is sometimes that means a big addition like an Andrew Miller. Sometimes that means mostly relying on the guys that we have within. But I can promise you that we are going to be on the phones from basically today through the trade deadline, seeing what opportunities are out there, and seeing if we can find ways to complement the team.
Mike, when you look at Kwan and what he's been able to do, later on when we do the TV show, we're going to talk about him and his just year that he's having. When you have a guy like that who has exploded onto the scene, do you kind of worry about, like, okay, I know he's doing well, but did I miss my window? Did I miss my window to lock him up long term? Because, this guy is playing, I call him, the JV version of Ichiro, and that's not no disrespect, but, this guy's getting 3-4 hits every single game. Do you ever think about that in terms of the contract and say, okay, well, wow, he's really playing well. We need to figure out what we'll go with next with his contract?
Contracts are a hard thing in baseball. We explore multi-year contracts with some young players, and there are multiple windows to do that. The good news is we have Steven here under our club control in the way that the baseball system works for many more years, and we expect him to be a cornerstone of the team, whether or not we get him on a multi-year contract. It has been absolutely tremendous watching him grow as a player. He was sort of an unheralded pick in the draft, and he has turned himself not only into the best defensive left fielder in the game, but one of the most exciting young hitters in the game also. It's hard to hit 300 in the game. He's hitting 380 right now, so it doesn't get much better than that. And having him at the top of the lineup has just been huge for setting the tone for our entire offensive approach.
Mike, this is a dumb question because I know better, and I've watched the number of 300 hitters in baseball every year go down and down and down. And last year I was wondering, is there going to be a time in the not-so-distant future where we don't have anybody hitting 300? So this is a dumb question, but it must be asked because he's been that hot. Can he make a run at 400? He's 380 right now.
I don't want to jinx anything. I'm not superstitious. I'm just a little stitious. I don't want to jinx anything here.
A little stitious.
He is an exceptional hitter. He's one of the best hitters in the game. It is so hard in today's game to put up batting average numbers that can even sniff 400. He's getting close to it right now, but it's a long season. We're not focused on milestones like that. We're focused on continuing his development as a player and having him set the table for our whole lineup.
Yeah, I don't blame you. I'm like you. I'm a little stitious too. the one thing that but boy, if this thing carries into August, the attendance for Guardians, both home and on the road, is going to skyrocket because what he's doing is I was listening to the game on the radio the other night. I was outside doing some yard work, and I was stunned when Rosie gave the stat. I think Pat Tabler asked it in the form of a question. Let's play higher or lower. Guess what he's hitting when he faces a pitcher for a third time in the game? And I think Rosie said, would it be 500? Tabler said higher. He said 600? Wow. He said higher. I think it was 620, and he got a base hit in his third at-bat against that day's starter. That is unbelievable. It leads Major League Baseball by a ton, and it shows you his cerebral approach to hitting. And this guy is, if fans aren't aware of him yet, and you should be, he's as fun to watch as anybody in the game right now for me. I know he doesn't have the power yet, but he's just doing things on a consistent night in and night out basis that are astounding.
Yeah, I mean, he's a fun guy to be around. His teammates love him. The way he approaches the game, you're right, the cerebral nature. He is an exciting guy both on and off the field, and I think he adds to an exciting element. We have the youngest team in baseball, despite continuing to perform so well. And when you pair a guy like Steven with players like Jose Ramirez and Josh Naylor, and a league-leading bullpen with Clase as sort of as the anchor, but a lot of unproven young guys in that bullpen. It makes us all really excited about what's to come for the rest of this summer.
Mike, I know you've been scouring the internet and seeing that my MVP, what's his name, David Fry, is having an unbelievable season. Some compare him with Aaron Judge. They say that he's better than Aaron Judge. I want to know, what do you think is his best position? Because he plays multiple positions. What do you think is his best position? And what is your thoughts on him making it into the All-Star game this year?
That's a great question on his best position. What makes him so good and so unique is that he can play all over the field. I mean, he's putting up offensive numbers like Aaron Judge right now in terms of his overall production, but he can, when Stephen Kwan's out with a hamstring, he can play left field. When we need a right-handed bat in right field, he's plugging in right field. If we need a catcher to give Bo Naylor and Austin Hedges today, he's catching for us. When you think about how hard it is to do that, he can play first and third also. That is about as hard as it gets to be sort of a super utility player and yet still put up the offensive production that he's putting up. So I think he is deserving of an all-star spot. I'm really hopeful that the hard work that he's put in pays off in that way. But either way, this is a tremendous player and great, hopefully somebody who's fun for fans to watch because of all the different aspects that he brings to the table.
I have a different question, Mike, but I got to follow up real quick. You guys acquired David Fry. In your wildest dreams, could you have imagined this was the player you guys were acquiring at the time?
Are you suggesting that we're not that good? I mean, I thought you had faith in us that we knew all along he'd be this good. No, he's, we make a lot of trades. That's just how the game works, especially in a small market like ours. And some of them pay off, some of them don't. We saw a lot of great indicators, and it's a huge credit to the scouting group and analytics group that we have that identified some of those attributes in David, and then an even bigger credit to David with the hard work that he's put in to become the player that he is.
Okay, my real question. You guys are the best of the best, Mike. No disrespect, but he's come out of nowhere. When you have a player like Jose, and we talk all the time about how his persona on the field translates down to the rest of the roster. When you see the best player run out every ground ball, it makes everyone run out every ground ball. And when they run the bases the way he does it, it's an attitude it spreads. How early in the process did you guys know you had something special in Jose that he could eventually become a cornerstone of the franchise like he has?
Oh, that's a great question. And another one of the I knew it all along effect, right? As he came up through the minor league system, he was a really good hitter, but he was never really a top prospect. He was signed kind of later for a Dominican player at 18. Usually those guys are signed at 16. And he just progressed. Everybody loved the way that he played the game. He was a hard-nosed player from day one. He ran the bases hard. But if you remember when he came up, we didn't really have a position for him. We kind of put him in left field initially. He had been a second baseman. He eventually found his spot at third base. I don't know if you remember, but Tito used to joke that he ran the bases like he was invisible the first year that he was on the team because he was so aggressive, but he was running into outs. I think maybe in his second or third year, we saw it all come together where the instincts combined with the style of play that he has put him on the map as someone who could be a leader on the team. Just in the way that he goes about his business. We always saw it off the field in the way he went about his business, but the way that it has translated into on-field success and the way that you see him approach the game every day, that started to kind of blossom in maybe his second or third year, and it's really just taken off from there. It's rare that you have a player who has done what he does and, whatever it is, 6 or 7 all-star appearances, and yet is still the hardest runner on the team and giving you the hardest 90 down the line whenever he sniffs a base hit.
Mike, I know you guys are geniuses, and you guys do hit on 99.9% of your moves. But you've made one move recently that I think could be the all-time baseball gold move. Now, I know there's a lot of steps before you get to the big leagues. But let's just envision this together. It's late September. Guardians are in the middle of the pennant race. It's the 8th inning. And Steve needs to go to the bullpen. The door swings open. The loudest tugboat whistle on the planet blows steam in the bleachers. And 35,000 fans with their tugboat whistles that were handed out that night on Free Tugboat Whistle Night starts blowing the tugboat whistles. It's so loud that the noise registers on the Richter scale. Or that or him running into the mound. I'm not sure which. He takes the mound. The bases are loaded, nobody out. There's a 1-run lead. He strikes out all 3 hitters he faces. This could be one of the great all-time nickname marketing scenarios in Cleveland Indians / Guardians history. Am I right?
You guys are great. You go deep. I love it. Tugboat Wilkinson was our 10th round pick in last year's draft. Again, our scouts did a great job identifying this guy. I love it. I love what you're looking at. We love everything that he's becoming as a player. And I love the picture you're painting. I hope that we're there. I hope he's contributing at some point, and we're in that situation you're talking about. I'll be cheering along right with you if that happens.
I'm telling you, I'm a huge tugboat fan already. I know there are a lot of steps, but he throws absolute smoke, and he's had such success so far. And like I said, there are a lot of steps on the way to the journey, but I can see this becoming like Mark the Bird Fidrich. I'm showing my age, but I can see this because Fidrich, you guys don't know.
Who is this?
Young. Fidrich took baseball by storm. Back in the day, they used to do something called Monday Night Baseball on ABC. It was as big as Monday Night Football. And it was really the only chance that baseball fans across the country had a chance to see all these other teams. And Mark the Bird Fidrich, you've literally never heard of him.
Never.
I can tell you guys haven't.
Ever.
He was like 6'4". He looked like Big Bird from Sesame Street. And he talked to the baseball, and he did his hand manicuring of the mound, and he jumped over the line on his way he sprinted in and out of the dugout. He was a sensation. Now, he only lasted a year of high-quality baseball. I know, Mike, you know who he is. I can see Mark the Bird Fidrich. I can see this. I can see Tugboat Wilkinson.
He talked to the ball.
He talked to the baseball. Yeah. We'll call up some video. We'll play some video of him later. Mike, he was awesome.
That's funny.
So in my mind, Tugboat. Now, Mike McNuggets, our producer, he's got a great nickname. Joe Thomas gave him the nickname. So he's fascinated by nicknames. So this was his question, and I'm going to ask it for you. So you're in the draft room, and there's 3 players on the board, and they're all 3 identically graded. And they all 3 play the same position, so they would fill whatever need you need. And you look at Matt Wilkinson, and he's Tugboat, and he's 270. Is that a tiebreaker, the nickname alone? It has to be, right?
Well, we took him, didn't we? That's how it works in the draft. Hey, whatever factor it takes that we can make, that we can improve our chances, we're thinking about it. We factor everything in.
See, that's why they're the best in the game. They're the best in the game. Mike, keep it up, man. This has been so much fun to watch. I'm thrilled that the city is on board. And who knows where this ride can take us, but we're all along for it. And keep it up, man. It's been a great, fun time to watch.
And keep wearing them city uniforms. Them is
Yes.
crazy.
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Hottest uniforms in the game right now.
Thank you, guys. I have 4 kids, so I get a lot of feedback on what the uniforms look like. I'm with you. We're excited about the summer ahead, and we'll be wearing those City Connects quite a bit. Thank you, guys.
Cleveland Guardians GM Mike Chernoff. Mike, thanks for making time for us. We really appreciate it. I know he's busy, so for him to carve out 20 minutes to sit down and talk with us knuckleheads is pretty cool.
He's great.
He's fantastic.
And
Fantastic.
They bringing people up now, Jay. I don't know what they doing. They letting these young dudes play all of a sudden.
Youngest team in baseball.
Yeah, they are, actually.
And damn near best record in baseball. And they're doing it on a payroll that pales in comparison to the other juggernauts in the game right now. When you look at the Braves and the Dodgers and the Mets, talk about wasting money. My goodness, the Mets. They're setting on fire $3 for every dollar the Guardians are spending wisely. They're just setting $3 on fire.
Are you insinuating that it's a young man's game?
He is. I mean, he said it. This is the youngest team in baseball. And look, I understand that a lot of this is done. I think that there's energy and inertia in a season. You know that as a player.
Yes.
When you start 4-0 and you walk in for week 5, you've got a little bounce to your step.
Yeah,
when you start 0-4, your feet
yeah.
barely leave the ground.
Yeah.
You're shuffling in.
I've been on the both of them. It's not.
You have been on both of them. And I think with baseball, because momentum, they say, is the next day's starting pitching. And I believe that. Mm-hmm. But you can create and build artificial momentum by hustling this hard 90 mantra that we've heard. Yeah. Mm-hmm. And that's just basically running as hard as you can to first base, that 90 feet, separating you from the next base. Mm-hmm. That is contagious. And what they have, which I think is, it's less appreciated outside of Cleveland than it is here. We know when your best player is your hardest player and plays hard and gives the kind of energy that Hosey does. Mm-hmm. We see Josh Naylor, who's not known for his running, flat out get up and get down the first baseline to beat out balls that normally would be outs.
He's doing it defensively.
And run score as a result. Like, that top step of the dugout mentality is contagious. And right now, they've got, for my money, the most efficient superstar in sports. For what they pay him and what they get from him, Jose Ramirez is the most efficient superstar in sports.
What is his deal? How much does he get paid?
He left about $100 million on the table.
That's
Toronto
nuts.
offered him a deal that was said to be between 75 and 100 million, more than what the Guardians were.
Right.
And you know what he said? I like it here. Why would I leave? They're giving me a fair price. I'm going to stay.
That's $100 million.
But you know what? The thing of it is, at some point, it's rollover money. You know, at some point, it's just money you're going to hand down to your next generation.
But he don't do like ads, do he?
Well, Jose is as private and as quiet a superstar as you'll find. He will. The reason that you don't see him do interviews is because he says he doesn't feel comfortable speaking English. No, Jose can speak English just fine.
Oh, I've learned.
I think he just wants to stay to himself. Do you know how lucky we are? We in Cleveland, our 3 best players, arguably, because Myles Garrett, people would say, is it? But look at what we have in Cleveland. We have Nick Chubb, who was just voted the second most popular player in the NFL. We have Jose Ramirez, who is by all accounts a world-class citizen and, as I said, I think the most efficient and underpaid superstar in all of sports. And we have Donovan Mitchell, like just the nicest, this is what you want all of your superstars to be. Those are our triumvirate right now.
All of them work.
That's pretty damn good.
They all are extremely hard workers.
They are. They're all the same guy, really, if you think about it. They work hard, they stay to themselves, they don't create problems, they're good citizens, they set great examples for their teammates, and they all want to win. They'll cut your heart out to win.
I mean, for the most part, Mobley and Jared Allen.
They're the same as Donovan Mitchell.
Amari Cooper. We got a bunch of saints.
We're lucky.
It's a pretty quiet city and guys who make noise for the wrong reasons. It actually is a blessing in disguise.
We're lucky, man.
For Cleveland. And you mentioned something with Stephen Kwan there to Mike Chernoff that we're going to dive into now, Jay. After a reminder that FanDuel is the official sportsbook of the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, and summertime means Guardians baseball, the NBA Finals, and more, and you can bet it all on FanDuel. Right now, new customers get $200 in bonus bets with any winning $5 bet. That's $200 you can use to bet on everything from the Finals MVP to who's going to hit one out of the ballpark tonight. Just visit FanDuel.com/UCSS and add a big win to your summer bucket list. FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. You mentioned the number 400, Jay.
Hey, quickly before we do the 400, because I know you've seen it now. Can I show the Aguilar video?
Hilarious.
Because you saw it when we were talking to, or right as we were bringing in Chernoff. Mike, if you can zoom in on this phone, this. Just seeing his face, I started to laugh. Because this is, so here's my guy. And he caught a baby who was thrown out of a burning building and saved the baby's life.
And he's assisting people down. My man just started throwing babies out the window. We was catching them, unlike Aguilar and his mishaps. I like to put that out there.
One of the all-time strays.
I love the nonverbal where he looks at the camera. He's like,
as if he didn't get his point at first.
Yeah. Unlike Aguilar. I mean, it's literally They're on a story where babies were saved out of a burning building, and only in Philly can you find a way to take a shot at someone on the Eagles.
It's classic Philly.
I wonder what them babies is doing now.
You know what? I think someone in Philly should do a reunion show where they find that baby, because that had to have been 6 years ago.
It was 2019.
Okay, so it was 5 years ago. Get that 5-year-old baby together with the baby saver and with Nelson Aguilar. That's a reality show.
That's
Back
wild.
to baseball here, Jay, because we got a couple things we got to get to before we wrap up and move over to WKYC. Stephen Kwan, he's hitting 380 on the season. Since returning from the IL, he's hitting 520 with the 625 on-base percentage. I know 400's a lofty number. It hasn't been done since Ted Williams over 50 years ago, but does Stephen Kwan have any chance at 400, Jay, or is that just too outside of the realm of reality for today's day and age of baseball?
No, he does not.
Dang.
I know.
Don't say that.
I listen. You talk about. I remember the season of 2001 when Bonds and McGwire were chasing the home run record, the single-season home run record, which, by the way, for 40 years stood at 61. Roger Maris hit 61 home runs in 1961, and there were some great power hitters throughout the 70s and 80s. Hell, Hank Aaron played after that and through that time. A lot of guys that were great power hitters. George Foster, I think, hit 51. Might have been the closest anyone came to breaking it. And then in 2001, these guys, it was apparent they were both going to break it in the middle of August. And because they were going back and forth, McGwire and Bonds, it led the national news, imagine this, almost every single night from August 15th through the end of the season.
Yeah, because it was up. Today is McGwire.
Let's check in on what Bonds did last night. Let's check in on what McGwire did last night. McGwire would homer in the third inning. They would show it on the Jumbotron wherever Bonds was playing, and Bonds would homer in the fifth.
That's funny.
It was, and as a fan, it was riveting, and attendance was through the roof. Ratings were through the roof. ESPN was breaking in for every one of Bonds and McGwire's at-bats, whatever game they were showing.
Who won?
You mean Sosa, right?
Who won that?
Yeah, I said McGwire and Bonds. It was Sosa.
Yeah.
It was McGwire and Sosa, I think, that were doing it.
Like,
And that's what led Barry Bonds. Some of his friends say Bonds was not a user until he saw McGwire and Sosa getting all the attention.
I still don't understand. Like, you got to think about this. Like, steroids don't make you lock in. You gotta, to hit home runs, you gotta, and these guys were getting intentionally walked.
A lot.
So they were seeing in a game, say they got 4 at-bats.
One pitch.
They getting 1-2 pitches they could hit tops.
And they were hitting
those pitches out of the park. You know how good you got to be to never miss. If you miss around the strike zone. So I don't know. Listen. Something makes me want to revisit it. Like, I know this is bad, but hey,
it was fun.
Just give everybody some steroids for a couple weeks to see if they can hit home runs again like that.
It was fun, G. And the reason I bring that up is because this record of Ted Williams hitting 400, I believe in 1941. It's either 41 or 50.
You don't think it can happen?
No.
Listen, y'all got to cut this out.
I'll tell you why it's not going to happen.
Talk to him. Educate these folks.
Oh, my God.
Educate them.
He might.
Y'all are just, it's going to happen.
No, it's not.
Yes.
I'll tell you why.
Let's hear it.
He might make a run at it, but here's the problem. Today's game has become way too specialized. When Ted Williams was doing it, he was able to see the starting pitcher 4 times.
Right.
Because they didn't go to the bullpen.
Kwan just did it.
Now, what Kwan is doing right now,
he just hit him 3
he's
times.
Hitting 650-ish when he sees a starting pitcher for the 3rd time in that game. Mm-hmm. Now, because he's the leadoff hitter, he's likely to get that 3rd at-bat in the 6th inning.
Yeah.
5th inning.
Yeah.
So he's going to see
Especially
a lot
if
of
they
pitchers
roll
3 times. It's incredible, but what you're going to start seeing is when he's hot and he's 2 for 2, and it's the 5th inning and he's coming up again, and if there's a situation, they might start going to the bullpen. The game is that specialized now. So when Ted Williams did it, and by the way, Ted Williams went into it, I think there was a doubleheader on the last day, and he could have sat down, and he was already at 400. And his manager asked him, do you want to sit down and have the 400 average? He goes, no, I want to earn it. and he went like 6 for 8 in the doubleheader and ended up hitting 407.
Here's the thing, Tyvus. Now, this is verifiable. I batted 475.
Shut up. Where at it?
In high school.
Now,
Did you really?
The problem with that was
I gotta see.
your boy Williams,
I gotta
who came
check
up with the
car.
tugboat
I gotta check the
nickname,
Carfax on that.
wasn't that good of a pitcher.
Listen. That in high school, it's not that hard to hit that money.
No, it's not. Oh, guys hit 600.
Look, see, this is what I'm saying. You only got one pitcher, maybe, and he playing shortstop or center field.
Yeah, that is
they got
true.
one in the
That is
possible.
very true.
So, here's what happens. Like McNuggets said this. I was like, yeah, let's try to get to 500. What starts happening is you go 2 for 5.
Your average goes down.
Yeah.
You got 2 hits.
Yeah.
You got 2 hits and your average went down. You go 1 for 3, you thinking that's a bad day.
Your average went down big.
You like, I'm balling right now. I listen, you could go 1 for 3 with a home
Wine
run.
going 2 for 4 for the rest of the year.
2 for think about that. That's
Going
5.
two-
You got
going 2 for 4 for the
he
rest of
literally
the year.
has to have a month where he's batting 500.
It's also like
Where he at right? Since he came back, where's
He's at
Kwan?
500.
520.
Yeah, what you talking about?
but it's only 25 at bats.
Still 13 to 25.
It is, but it's a small sample size. There are
This is who
5
he,
guys in a season.
This is
that do
who
that.
he
Maybe
is.
Maybe more.
This is who he is.
Baseball's a streaky
He's a
game.
520 guy.
if you go for 1-0 for something,
He has 2 games in a row where he doesn't get a hit. His average goes down 20 points.
Well, that's not gonna happen. That's just, here, listen.
Listen,
it will not. There's no way he go in the game
we-
with no hits.
we talked about
that's absurd.
I love this.
Stephen Kwan.
We talked
No
about
way.
this on this show
That he
all
don't
the
Watch
time.
him tonight.
He
go
don't even.
hitless.
You're right.
The unbreakable records.
It's gonna get broken.
All of them are in baseball.
Sure, because it's a different game now.
It's
the
done.
56-game hitting streak,
I thought.
That's done.
I thought
Pete
there
Rose
was.
hit for 44 in a row, and he said his hair started falling out because of nerves. Roger Maris, when he was chasing 60, because Babe Ruth had hit 60 home runs in 27, the whole summer that he did that, he was losing hair in clumps because he was so nerved up.
So Stephen Kwan about to go ball. Who cares?
It's a different sport now. He's going to have to do it against so many different specialized pitching. They make matchup changes. They'll put a lefty in against a lefty.
So what happened? Okay, let's say he does do it. What you?
My hats will be off to him forever if he does it.
That's like saying
I don't think it'll be done again.
Iron Man not happening. Strikeout record not happening. Home run record not happening. 400 not happening.
You don't think the whole run? What is 75? It's an asterisk though.
Who? What?
The
For
whole
Bonds.
Yeah.
With the home runs.
Oh, that's never happened. That's done. That's Dunsky. That's never like
What did Judge have last year?
not
50s.
Did he only have?
Not
Not
a-
55.
and
56.
they had
That's
to
17 shy of the
and they
record.
had to pull
20 shy.
and
of
they
the
had to
record.
pull a cheat code by putting them first in the order.
They did. He's right about
Like
that.
we gotta get more at bats. Bonds did it in the 4-hole or the 3-hole. Like, come on now.
never
And
Never.
set a record for most walks in a season.
Intentional walks.
I mean, just walks. I think he had 200 walks that year.
No.
That's more than a walk a game.
It can happen again.
All the more baseball records is just done. They're not.
It's hard, man. It's so specialized. But listen, if he does it, my hat will be forever off to him.
Rose's hair was falling down because he
Pete Rose 4,000 hits.
And he only got to 44 games in a row.
was locked in.
He got to 44 games in a row, and the hitting streak was broken.
His nerves
You know what's
was
crazy
bad.
about the 56-game hitting streak for Joe DiMaggio? The Cleveland Indians ended it. They had a third baseman by the name of Kenny Keltner, who was a vacuum cleaner, all-star third baseman, made every play.
Oh, I love that.
He robbed 2 hits from Joe DiMaggio that day, on the day that it ended at 56. DiMaggio went on to hit safely in the next, I believe it was 17 or 19
That's
games.
crazy.
Which means if not for Kenny Keltner, one of them, he dove down the third baseline and caught a ball that would have been a sure double and barely caught it. If that ball isn't caught,
So he hates him.
he goes on to hit for 70. His hitting streak is 75 in a row
That's
he hates them.
that's a hitting dang near half the games.
of the season. In a row.
So let me get
In
this
a
right.
row.
1 hit a game.
Yes.
44 straight games.
That was Pete Rose. His record. He has the record in the National
Where is
League.
Kwan at currently?
0.
Oh, he went hitless one day over the weekend, I think.
Did he?
It happens, bro. It's Major League Baseball. If you fail 7 out of 10 times, over a career, you're going to the Hall of Fame.
I know.
And in 10 years, it's going to be like
It's hard, man.
8.5. 250
Well,
good.
when I said to Mike, the 300 average is a thing of the past. There used to be 30, 40 guys in a season that would hit 300. Now there's like 10.
The pitchers is good. They got some stuff.
The pitching has come a long way, and it's specialized.
Yeah.
You got to do it off 3 pitchers.
Kwan getting 400. Book it.
I
don't care what
I
y'all
love
say.
your naivete and your optimism.
When it happens, I want y'all to publicly apologize to me and Stephen Kwan.
I'll shave my head live on this show if it happens.
Bet.
Done.
And we're
And we're going to end it so we can't take it back. We're going to talk
That's
Cavs
what you were
in a
driving
sec
for. I might as
after
well
a
give it
word
to you.
from eBay Motors. Passion, drive, and patience. That's the winning formula to winning championships. It's also what keeps your ride or die alive. eBay Motors has everything you need to maintain your vehicle and level it up to peak performance. Superchargers, roof racks, exhaust kits, LED headlights, and more. Whether you're into speed, power, or style, eBay Motors has you covered. With over 122 million parts for your number one ride or die, you'll always find exactly what you're looking for. And with eBay's Guaranteed Fit, your part is guaranteed to fit your ride every time or your money back. Because with eBay Motors, you're burning rubber, not cash. With all the parts you need at the prices you want, it's easy to make your car the MVP and bring home some big-time wins. Keep your ride or die alive at ebaymotors.com. Eligible items only. Exclusions apply. eBay's Guaranteed Fit is only available to U.S. customers. We've talked Browns. We've talked Guardians. Let's talk Cavs for a sec. We started this week with some Darius Garland hypothetical trades. We're going to end this week with a Darius Garland trade conundrum. I want to ask you guys your opinion on this. What do you think raises the Cavs' championship ceiling more? Darius Garland returning to his all-star form, or the Cavs trading Darius and turning Darius into 2 role players and a draft pick? And so 2 role players and a rookie, or Darius returning to all-star form. Which one gets them closer to being a true, legit championship contender? G. Bush, let's start with you.
Trade.
Dang.
Wow.
ASAP.
God, dog.
Listen,
Did you even think about the question?
No, I have to. If you look at the climate of what we're doing right now, if Darius Garland gets 3 more points a game, couple more assists, that puts him at, 24 or something, couple assists.
Talking about after when he was All-Star?
Yeah.
I think he was averaging 22 and 9.
Okay, 22 and 9. It's the makeup, man. It's the makeup. 22 points is what? 4 more points, couple more assists a game, maybe 2.5 assists a game. It's not the fact that it is total output. It's what you're up against. Sometimes you just up against a different type of animal and different type of the way people were built on other teams that it don't help you. You could come along at a certain point in time and it don't work out for you. He way too smallish. Way too smallish.
Definitely need to hit the weights.
No, he need to gain 4 more inches and get 20 more pounds. That's not happening. I'm watching what the Celtics is doing. Listen, Drew Holiday was just bullying him. Look at him, just pushing him off the ball. Just that ain't going to just stop. And once again, I keep talking to people like Porzingis is like 7'9" or something. And when we talked about, hey, can we get Porzingis? No, we don't want him. Now we doing the same thing.
Who said that?
All last year, we don't want Porzingis. We don't know.
You ain't asked me because I wouldn't have told you
They
that.
doing the same thing. I heard people say they don't like Kyle Kuzma. They don't like Brandon Ingram. Y'all need to stop it. You need to quit it. I'll take either one of those dudes over Darius Garland. And I'm not knocking his game. I'm just saying, looking at the Boston Celtics where everybody is 6'9", and we're trotting out 6'2", 6'2", and 6'4.5".
You giving them more credit. They 6'1" a piece.
I'm just right. You got and I'm stupid. I'm sorry. I should have called this out earlier. How you got your start lineup is 6'2", 6'2", 6'5"?
No, 6'1", 6'1".
Okay, 6'1".
It's even worse.
It's even worse. And now,
Drew saying 6'5".
look, that's a high school. My backcourt in high school was bigger than that. I got a high school backcourt. Jawad Williams, for God's sake. St. Ed's pride and joy. I'll take him and Steve Logan over these guys. Give me him and Steve Logan.
You're lying to yourself. First of all, you gotta.
Steve can't go to his lab.
Shout out to Steve. Shout out to Steve Logan. You know what I'm saying? Shout out.
Steve's probably watching the show, eating his cereal. Yeah, how am I getting pulled into this?
G. Bush crazy.
It's been a lot of times on this show we randomly threw somebody's name out there that's probably sitting there like, wait a minute.
Come on, McNuggets. That's small.
You're giving a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
Would you take All-Star Darius and say, let's run this thing back?
I would take All-Star Darius. Listen,
running back.
First of all, this is the problem. The problem is y'all are so messed up from last season that y'all just can't remember
2 seasons
how good Darius was.
Not last season. 2 seasons. We're still.
He wasn't bad 2 years ago.
I'm just saying 2 years.
He wasn't as good as he was when he was.
Wasn't that the first year they was trying to work things out?
Yeah,
it was.
To me, it still looks like they're trying to work things out.
First of all, listen. This is what I'll say. I will say that if you're going to do something in this day and age, very seldomly is one superstar going to win the whole thing. It's just not going to happen.
Not
so
anymore.
if you're trading him for role players, they're not superstars. So if Donovan's not having a good game, it's a wrap because the role players are not going to win you 4 games. They might win you 1. They're not going to win you 4 games. You need that other superstar to take the weight off of the other super. They got to balance each other. The last superstar team that had just one guy, I guess you could say if you're not counting Jamal Murray, you can count the Nuggets. Kawhi did it with the Toronto. Giannis kind of did it with the Bucks. And Dirk did it with Matt. That's about 14.
That's like the last 3 champions.
No, it's not. Stop it.
The Bucks, the Nuggets,
the
Raptors.
Jamal Murray is considered an all-star, right? A superstar?
No, he's not no superstar.
Is he an all-star?
He's an all-star.
Okay. But you getting rid of this guy for a role player that's not an all-star.
Did you see Darius when Donovan wasn't playing against the Celtics? I saw 12s and 13s. And I'm not talking about shoe sizes.
The Cavs won a game.
Yeah.
The Mavs ain't about to do nothing.
They won that game when who was playing?
Who?
Donovan
wasn't playing in that series, did he?
When Donovan
was playing when they beat the
Celtics.
Yeah, he only missed the last game of the series. Allen was not.
Anyway, it wouldn't have happened without Darius. That's all I'm gonna say. I can't fathom trying to go into the championship with just role players. Because don't get me wrong, Donovan had this streak of the season when Darius and Evan was out, and they ended up winning all those 12 in a row or whatever the case may be. But I still think in dire times, when you go up against these better teams, you have to have somebody. And Darius shoots the ball really well. He even shot it well in the playoffs. He just didn't take enough shots. If he gets back to taking care of the basketball, that's the biggest thing that he was messed up. His turnovers was terrible. If he gets back to taking
inopportune times.
Yeah, he does. If he takes care of the basketball, if he would have just did that, he would have been better. But if he gets back to 22 points a game and he hits those threes, because that's one thing about Darius. Once he starts hitting them threes, he could take over an entire night with just hitting threes. Will you agree with that?
I'll agree with that. He can get hot. But I haven't seen it in a couple years. May 7th against the Celtics, 14 points. May 9th against the Celtics, 14 points. May 11th versus the Celtics, 15 points. He had an explosion of 30, and then he went back in a closeout game to 11 whopping points, 4 of 17.
And that was with no Donovan Mitchell on the floor.
No Donovan Mitchell. I suppose that, for what I'm saying is, we talk about role players. I think Darius Garland is a role player.
Last year was a down year.
It's tough because
it was a down year.
Mike, you can't. When you move his contract, you're going to have to take someone back of that. I mean, his contract is almost unmovable.
I mean, it's not unmovable. That's why I mentioned 2 role players, because you have to match salaries. The one thing, and I'll hear both sides of the argument, and I'm curious where you land, Jay.
All right.
If you watch the end of Game 3 of the Finals when Luka fouled out,
yeah,
and Boston is the perfect example. Boston has built a team. Now, they're the best version of this, where all their playmakers are 6'4", 6'5", 6'8", 6'9", and 7'3". That is the supersized Jumbotron dream scenario for that. But what makes Boston so dangerous offensively is all 5 guys on the court, if Porzingis is healthy, 4 guys if it's Horford, can all create shots for themselves, which means you have to guard guys one-on-one. When Luka went out for Dallas, it was just Kyrie at the end of the game.
That's it.
And Boston was able to hone in on Kyrie and make him take these super difficult shots, which he's capable of making because he's a magician.
But not consistently.
Yeah. And my fear is if you trade Darius for 2 role players, a Cam Johnson and a Dorian Finney-Smith or something, you are putting so much pressure on Donovan in crunch time. Not during the regular season, not in the first 44 minutes of a playoff game, but in the last 4 minutes when it's nut crunching time. Can Donovan create good look after good look after good look after good look when he's the only true shot creator on the floor? And I don't know the answer if he can.
I don't either, but we always say, like, when do we have enough hay in the barn that we can say that Evan Mobley is not going to be the unicorn? Like, well, we need to see more. Do we? Like, at what point? Because there were those that wanted to bring JB back for this year that said, we need to see more. Bring him back. Let's see what he can do. Well, I was dead set against that. And on that Sunday afternoon in L.A., when they blew a 25-point third-quarter lead to the Clippers, and they were doing nothing defensively to stop Paul George from looking like a young Michael Jordan, in that moment I said, that's what you get when you decide to run it back. We knew what this looked like. We saw it last year. So I don't want to be in April of 2025 watching Garland turn it over close and late, watching him not create his own offense. You talk about, like, who else is going to do it. I didn't see Garland do it in the Celtics series.
All-Star Garland. And that's why the question is if the choice is between All-Star Garland, who could. Last year he was bad. There is no other way to phrase last. It was a bad season.
So here's what I'm trying to answer in my mind.
Yep.
Is it bad because the fit is bad, or is it bad because he broke his jaw, he couldn't eat solid food, he lost a lot of weight, he missed a lot of time, and it just was one of those seasons that you write off as an anomaly? What's the answer?
I lean towards the latter because not only the jaw did affect him. He lost
Clearly.
12 pounds. He was undersized for an already undersized guard to begin with. And when he came back, as you guys remember, that's when the referees stopped calling fouls.
I know
the
they
NBA got
did.
way more physical, and it was the worst possible time. And it sounds like I'm making excuses for Garland.
What you just said is true.
I'm just being honest. Like, and he was scared. One sec. He was scared to get in the paint. He was scared of contact. It was easier to guard him because teams knew he wasn't trying to blow by them. It took away his playmaking because it's really hard to be a playmaker if you just stand on the three-point line.
So if you take
I'm willing to give him a quasi-pass for how bad last season was because of the circumstances. Just like when DeQuell came on our show and said JOK is not a linebacker. Like, JOK went through a lot of shit that season too. He lost someone in his family, and we saw what happened last year. Bounced back, should have been an all-pro in my mind. I'm hoping Darius could have that same kind of redemption this coming season.
So you're keep him, run it back.
Not the bigs, but I would run it back with Garland.
Okay, so I know this conversation was not taking into account Allen.
Yeah,
and
I don't
Mobley.
think Allen and Mobley work. I still have belief that Mitchell and Garland can work.
Listen. I'm baffled. I go back and look. I go back and look at 2021. Like, if you look at it, his numbers ain't even better than Colin Sexton's numbers. What happened is we just picked. We said, we like Colin. We like you better than Colin. We're going to make you our guy. He made an all-star team. See, there's a certain thing to be said that you could be good on a team with no expectations.
And somebody's got to get the point.
And somebody got to score. They had Andre Drummond back then. Like, let's be clear. Like,
Andre Drummond was with Darius on that team?
Yes.
No, Jared Allen been here at that time.
Andre Drummond was on this squad.
No,
the reality of it is, look, Darius Garland is a nice player. But let me just ask you a question, and this is devastating, and I challenge anybody to answer it. Get in the chat and let me know. If they ran it back for 3 straight years, 3 in a row, and Mobley gets to be an all-star, they still don't have enough. You're not beating Denver. You're not beating the Timberwolves.
So I'll push back on that. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. Boston is a team that has stuck together for a number of years. They've progressively gotten better. Now, they had some famous missteps. Last year, they lost to an 8. But to me, in watching Boston clearly dominate everybody, what I'm saying to that, G, is, well, this is one of those cases where patience pays off. They kept putting them out there together. They figured more and more out every year. They brought in a new voice as a coach. They brought in actually 2 new voices. And they've learned, and now they're at the top of the mountain. Can that be the Cavs 3 years from now? Mike?
Talk to him, Nuggets.
To push back against the Celtics, I think they're where they are now because of Drew Holiday and Kristaps Porzingis, which were 2 off-season moves.
Huge acquisitions, but the core of their team, though, Mike.
Yeah. No, Tatum and Brown. That's
it.
For sure. The difference is I don't know how the Cavs bring in a Holiday or a Porzingis caliber player with the assets they have, and that's the difference. Now, if you could turn DG into an all-star, if you get Cat, we're talking a different scenario. Like, that's something I'm much more willing to listen to, but turning Darius into Cam Johnson and Dorian Finney-Smith,
That
who are
ain't-
nice 3-and-D guys.
No.
I don't think that raises the ceiling as high as the best version of DG would.
Okay,
And
let's
that-
roll
and that
it
was the
back then.
question.
Let's make some changes at the front line, and let's see what piece you can get for Allen, and because that's the other part of this equation.
And we'll do this question next week with him. So don't
Great.
worry.
No,
Don't worry.
I know. I mean, really, this is only half of the conversation.
And McNuggets, they brought, so you see the levels to this, man. Word to McMill, it's levels. I'm trying to understand it. You brought in Porzingis and Holiday.
2 great pieces.
We brought in Strus and Mann.
Hey,
Gee, I feel bad. I got to move on. 'cause
What?
That cuts deep. That was a knife to the heart. So
That's a mic drop.
yeah,
we gotta
we're gonna
go.
move on. Steve Becker,
I'll see your
our
Holiday
EP,
and Porzingis
writes
and
the
raise you a
newsletter
Strus
every
and
week.
Yang.
And if you guys want to sign up for the newsletter,
yeah.
you can see the number on the bottom of your screen. Well, Earl writes the newsletter. Steve helps us put together.
Earl's back there going, hold on.
But if you want to sign up, there's the number on the screen to sign up. And Steve Becker puts a little top 5 in every newsletter. And his top 5 this week in the newsletter was the top 5 best backup quarterbacks in Browns history. So we're going to run through Steve's list. If you get mad, this is not my list. This is Steve's list. I don't know the reasoning. I'm just going to run through the list, and you guys tell me if it's right or wrong. And once again, I had nothing to do with this list. If you disagree,
It must be terrible.
EP Steve.
It must be terrible.
Are you guys ready?
Yeah, yeah.
5th best backup quarterback in Cleveland Browns history, according to EP Steve, is Vinny Testaverde.
Benny?
Then he started a lot of games, though.
He did, but he was a backup. He does qualify as a backup.
I'm going to run through all 5, and then you can see the order because it doesn't make sense to argue if I can't even defend the pick because I didn't pick it, because EP Steve picked it. Number 4, Don Strock.
Okay.
Number 3, Steve. Let's just keep this bad boy rolling. Gary Danielson. Number
I don't even
2,
know these people.
Kelly Holcomb. And number 1, Joe Flacco.
Okay, so
This is EP Steve's list, not McNuggets.
it really isn't. No, I have to take ownership of this. It's my list.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
it's your list.
Yeah, because he texted us back on June 7th. Yeah, plot twist. He texted us on June 7th. Quote, I'm doing the list of the top 5 backup quarterbacks in Brown history for this week's newsletter, so I'd love to get your opinions. Thanks. I texted him back 24 minutes later, Joe Flacco. Now, I intentionally just put Joe Flacco on that because I wanted to drive home the fact that he is definitively the number 1 best backup quarterback in Browns history. Then he said, I need a list of 5, please. Then G. Bush weighed in, and Steve then threw some other names in there, none of which are on my list. These names were Holcomb, who I will acknowledge I missed. But then others were Josh McCown, Spurgeon Wynn, Jason Campbell. These are yours. Seneca Wallace, Mike Pagel. I'm like, damn. my man is young because he just doesn't remember. And then Steve said, how about Flacco, Holcomb, Brissett, Hoyer, and McCown? And then I texted a short while later, Gary Danielson, Don Strock, Vinny Testaverde. Now, all these guys go back to the 80s and 90s. But those were the guys that were great backup quarterbacks. Maybe there was one in the 60s when Gary Ryan, I don't know.
They were better than Brissett.
When, what?
They was better than Brissett.
In my mind, they were.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm just asking. I don't know.
Back then, the role of the backup quarterback was so different than it is now. So different. Oftentimes, it was a career starter who wanted 3 or 4 more years in the league, and teams brought him in Gary Danielson's case, to tutor Bernie Kosar.
Yeah.
Don Strock as well. Vinny Testaverde. Wasn't a starter anymore, but had something left in the tank. Browns brought him in.
He was nice with the Jets.
Now it's like
Chad
backup
Pennington.
quarterbacks they rotate them like they change underwear these days. You know, guys are coming and going. You don't even know some of the guys that are. Colt McCoy is a rare exception to that.
Chase Daniel.
Chase Daniel's another guy. But for
By
the
the way,
most
Chase
part,
Daniel's been phenomenal. He made the transition to media.
Oh,
really?
really?
Really,
Where
really
is he?
good.
I didn't know that.
He's a freelance. He does some stuff with the 33rd team, some stuff with the Ringer. I saw him on ESPN on a
Interesting.
pregame show, but he's really, really good at breaking down
good.
quarterback film. So overall, because a culmination of your list and G's list, we'll give Steve Becker credit if he did it well. We're going to give him all the blame if he did it poorly. How's the list? Do you agree with it?
I mean, again, I have to agree with it because It's my list.
Like I like quarterbacks that can come in. If you were backup, the prerequisite is you give me a win. Can you give me a win? I think one of the best backup quarterbacks they got right now is Jameis Winston. If you was going into a playoff game, Jameis Winston can theoretically throw for 4 touchdowns.
Well, here's the thing. I don't operate in
But he
theory.
could also throw you 4 picks.
I don't operate in theory because if you're going to operate in theory, then Deshaun Watson's our greatest quarterback ever to play.
Right.
So I got to see it in a Browns uniform.
Yeah.
I've got to see it.
Yeah.
And you know what? It's funny you say that because I think that one of the under-the-radar moves that will pay big dividends for the Browns this year is Jameis Winston.
I like the.
You're going to need your backup quarterback. At some point, you're going to need him. You might need him for a week. You might need him for 4 weeks.
Hopefully not.
Well, listen, hopefully not. Baltimore last year, they kept their guy healthy.
Shouldn't we over the injury bug?
Andrew Berry.
You're never over the injury bug.
You a funny dude, Andrew Berry. You really messed a lot of people's season up. See, it was about 30% that was thinking they gonna get that Flacco back. And
I would have done that.
And when Deshaun Watson,
I would have. I saw enough from him.
When Deshaun Watson would have threw them picks or any picks, they was gonna yell Flacco from the top of the roofs.
Well, so here's the scenario, though. Here's the scenario, okay? A scenario is Deshaun either, he don't even want to say this, either suffers an you know what I mean?
You know what? We ain't want to
he
Don't even
plays,
speak it.
He
Don't even
plays,
speak it.
He plays, can't say it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And they've got to go to the backup, and Jameis comes in and doesn't look like that guy, and then the outcry is, where's Joe?
No. They're going to be like, oh, give me the Pro Bowler Huntley.
Hey, time
Pro Bowler with 2 touchdowns and 4 interceptions that year.
They didn't get to me. We definitely missed that one.
What?
Philip Walker.
It's easily. It's not even close. First of all, I want to say, Andrew Berry, I applaud you for what you've done with this roster, but you dropped the ball. You let Philip go to Seattle. That's just bad job out of you. He won you. He gave you a win against the 49ers.
On that note, this show is over, but we'll see you in 3 minutes on WKYC.
Peace.
Go Philip.
Philip.